Welcome to my writing nook. I'm Danica Gray, and I'm excited to be joining AuthorTube. So today we're going to be going through the AuthorTube Newbie Tag, which, as far as I can tell, is like a rite of passage for people to go through on AuthorTube. It is like your ticket into the community, and it's a wonderful tag with great questions made by Jenna Streety. So I will link her original videos down below if you're interested in doing this video. Basically, I'd like to go over 1, some facts about me, 2, some facts about kind of my writing and, you know, what writing life looks like for me, and 3, AuthorTube goals, what this channel is, what you can expect from me in the future, and kind of what I'm hoping to create out of this new creative endeavor. But before we get into kind of the official tag, I'd like to get just a few kind of baseline, get to know you questions out of the way. Danica Gray, my name. Is it my real name though? It's not. So I'm not a real Danica, but I am a real Gray. I've gone by Danica online in association with my writing for so many years, probably like 10 years. I picked the name out originally long time ago when I was playing kind of a rolling game of pretend. I don't know if anyone did that when they were kids. I guess it was basically like a role play game where we basically assumed alter egos and we had magical powers and we kind of acted out a story together. And in all those stories, my name was Danica. When I started writing when I was younger, I just used that name online, and I have for so long. It just kind of feels right to stick with that name and to use it here on YouTube. So Gray, though, is actually very tied to my actual name and is kind of a family name. Originally, I had a different last name, but that last name was kind of ridiculous. I like made it up when I was 10. It doesn't even really sound like a real last name. This is just like a fresh start, you know, 2020, new year, fresh start, new AuthorTube, fresh start, new last name, fresh start. You can call me Danica, Danny, D. I've gone by them all online. Just wanted to get that disclaimer out of the way so people don't feel lied to if they find out that this is a pen name. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get to the tag. I have them printed out right here. Quick note before we get into this. I rearranged the questions for the AuthorTube Newbie Tag 2.0 into kind of 3 buckets: about me, about my writing, and kind of about AuthorTube and my channel. And I was really torn because there's such good questions for the 1.0 and for the 2.0. I picked like, I think 2 or 3 questions from the 1.0 that I really liked and like snuck them into the 2.0. So we're just doing an amalgamation. It's a whole new thing, but it's also exactly the same, just reorganized. The first section, about me. If you were a book, how would you pitch yourself? That is an excellent question. When I was brainstorming this for this video, I'll just share with you what I came up with. Cautious girl meets world. World wins about half the time. Is it a good book pitch? No. Girl goes out in search of adventure. Nothing goes as she planned. Shenanigans ensue. I'll stick with that. Question number 2. What made you want to start writing? This is an excellent question. I think I started when I was about 5 or 6, and basically I think the impetus was that I had a lot of stories to tell and nobody had time to listen to me. Eventually, I think when I realized my family was getting tired of listening to me, what I used to do is we had this big computer kind of, I guess, in like our workroom, living room, and we weren't supposed to use it. Because I mean, I was 6 and this was the early 2000s, so there was no reason for me to use it. So basically I would go and sneak onto the computer and type up stories on Microsoft Word. I can honestly think I can credit like Microsoft Word spell check with like teaching me how to spell, because I would just phonetically spell out words in the most hilarious ways and wait for spell check to like tell me it was wrong. I think that was like the first thing I learned how to use on Word was spell check. I didn't even know how to use the enter key. I used to just like click a million times until I could get to the next to make a paragraph break. Too much. Until my mom like finally showed me how to use the computer. So that's probably why I'm a terrible speller. I really only learned from spell check. Anyhow, that is, I think, kind of what got me to start writing. Basically, since then, I just wrote a ton of, I think, mostly short stories. And I have just hundreds of them, like, on my computer, just archived, which is honestly fun to go back at and look at what my 6-year-old, 9-year-old, 10-year-old, 12-year-old self, like, thought about and thought was important. Probably when I was about 13, I did NaNoWriMo for the first time. I had kind of like a writing group with kids my age, and we did NaNoWriMo. It was a ton of fun, and I think I did NaNoWriMo basically 3 times through high school. Oh no, I did it 4 times. I definitely did 4 times. And then I just kind of, after high school, I basically just like stopped writing. I got busy with so many other things, and it really wasn't until last year, basically last August, that I kind of stumbled into AuthorTube, and it reminded me how much I love writing and how much I miss it. That's kind of what brought me here. And that leads me to the third question that I wanted to go through. This is an oldie, but a goodie. It says, how did you find out about AuthorTube? Excellent question, Jenna. So actually, I think what happened was I stumbled onto the lecture series by Brandon Sanderson, which, I don't know, is that AuthorTube? He's an author and he's on the tube. It's an AuthorTube. If you haven't seen it, you should totally watch it. It's very binge worthy. I will also link that down below in case you are interested. But he's wonderful, and the series was great. And I think I found the first one. I just binged all the way through them. I couldn't stop. I was so surprised at myself, like what had come over me. I wanted more writing content. I wanted to think about writing more, and maybe I wanted to start writing again. So I just started honestly looking for like writing tips, writing craft, writing whatever. And I started pulling up AuthorTube videos. And I think actually it was Abby Emmons, who's wonderful, and Kate Kavanaugh, who's also wonderful. And I will link them all, both, down below. If by some chance you haven't seen them, they have wonderful videos. And just, I think, really reminded me how much I love writing. And about that time, I kind of got an idea for a book. And so I started working on that book and just binging AuthorTube videos about writing craft and story craft, and also just vlogs and book reviews and just all of the content that comes on both AuthorTube and BookTube, the tube of people who like words. Moving on to part 2. About my writing. First question is about my current work in progress. So what is your book's pitch? If you have multiple works, choose your favorite. So I do not have multiple works. I am basically working on the one book that I had kind of started brainstorming and outlining in August of last year of 2020. And then I did for NaNoWriMo and was able to win NaNoWriMo in 2020. I wrote a little over 50,000 words, which is great. And right now my manuscript stands at about 66,000 words, I think. It's so long, guys. It's not close to finished. I just passed the midpoint, so like we're looking at maybe like 100,000, 120,000 words, probably. It's long for a 0 draft, which is, I think, the term I'm most comfortable using as opposed to a first draft, because I think most things in this draft will change, but you know, it's long, but I'm still writing it. We're getting through it. Anyhow, what was the question? The question was, what is your book's pitch? Okay. I'm not very good at book pitches, as we've already covered in trying to pitch myself. But I think I'm just gonna go ahead and read like the book blurb. I think some like details of this will change, and this is like by no means perfect. This is just me trying, but you know, I'm a big fan of starting where you are. When you're a beginner, you're not supposed to be perfect, so here I am in my imperfection. A young seeker has trained for years to pass the trials and secure her place in the Order, a mysterious, ancient society of magic users able to wield the ancient arts. But when her trials go wrong, she determines to take her life into her own hands and earn her initiation as no other has since the first mage. She sets out on a harrowing quest to prove her worth. But as she unearths old truths and hidden lives from the Order's past, she's faced with a choice: pursue her dream or forge a new one instead. It's not perfect, but that's what my book is about. Next question in this section. What do you usually write? I usually write fantasy, I think like a lot of people, kind of young adult style, but I've also written more contemporary stuff, looking to branch out. What's something that you will never write? Very related. I don't think I will ever write horror, mostly because I cannot read horror. I can't watch horror. I am not a person who enjoys being scared, so I don't think I'll ever do horror. This is a question, an old question from AuthorTube 1.0. Are you a plotter, pantser, or plantser? This is a good question because I'm actually very curious to see how my thoughts on this progress throughout this channel. But I think right now I probably fit in the plantser realm. I really enjoyed the process of learning how to outline before NaNoWriMo, but I reached this point where I just couldn't come up with any more ideas. I was so stuck, and I felt like I just needed to start writing. Just the process of doing, there's something about action, actually getting into something that I think really helps me brainstorm. So while I would really love to be able to just like outline beforehand, I think at a certain point, at least this go around, I needed to start writing. I'm also very aware of the fact that like, since this is my first novel, I really think my creative process will change. Right now, I don't really have a process. I'm just like fumbling my way through it. I don't think I'm doing it very efficiently right now, but that's okay. I'm just exploring. The goal is not to be major efficient. The goal is just to learn. Yeah, so I'm very interested to see how that stands, but I think right now, I'd call myself a plantser. What is your publishing path? So this is a good time to talk about the fact that I am a very green writer. All I know for sure right now is that I'm very dedicated to learning how to become a good writer. It's something I feel really passionate about. Like I kind of can't even explain like my drive to do it, but I have a lot of drive to do it. And so I feel like I should follow that. So I don't have a planned publishing path, but I will let you know as soon as I do. What is your biggest writing struggle? Guys, there are so many. I think because it's been so long since I've done any creative writing, everything is a struggle right now, which is part of the reason why NaNoWriMo was so helpful for me, and part of the reason why I think it's important for me to just struggle my way through this draft and like get to the end, and it'll be messy and terrible, but it will have allowed me to write like 100,000 words. I'm starting to remember how it felt back when I wrote a lot, and it was easier to do. So everything's a struggle right now. I have a lot of bad words to write before my good words will come. I think right now I'm frustrated because I use a lot of words and yet I don't have very strong descriptions. So I'm kind of like both overwriting and underwriting at the same time. I'm just not efficiently writing. I would call that my biggest struggle. What is your best writing skill? Also interesting question. I don't know. I'll get back to you on this one. I think maybe like when I really get into it, I can be good at like really connecting to emotions of a character and like putting those down on page so that the reader can feel them too. But I don't know, that also needs work, so we'll see. On to part 3 about AuthorTube and this channel and kind of what you can expect from me in the future. What is your goal for starting an AuthorTube channel? Excellent question. So I think I have 2 main goals for this channel. The first one is that I really just want to kind of document my journey as a writer, my future self, a reflection, and also because I think just the process of doing something like this can be very solidifying. I'm a person who really learns like auditorily, and oftentimes I have to explain something to myself in order for me to really get it. So I think having a medium like this that allows me to talk things out will be super helpful for that growth. And then 2, I really want to become a part of the community. I think that's one of the #1 things that people talk about on AuthorTube is that they found so many friends and great people who are also, you know, writers and who love writing and love words. And I really, really would love to be a part of that and, you know, get to meet people, get to have writer friends, and just kind of contribute to something that I've really loved and, you know, have just been very immersed in for the last few months. I've wanted to create an AuthorTube channel for a while, and with the start of 2021, it just seems like a good time to do it. What content do you bring to the AuthorTube table? So I think the #1 thing that I want to do is like document my growth, my learning. So I think that that is going to take many different forms. So I'd like to kind of post updates on my writing and kind of vlogs about my novel. I'd also like to kind of post learn along with me videos where I kind of dive into different storycraft issues and writing craft issues as I'm kind of researching them and learning them and testing them out myself. I am not an expert. This is very much not going to be like a how-to channel. If anything, I think these vlogs will be more of like a research project where I gather a lot of different actual experts and their advice and try them out myself, and you can kind of like learn along with me. And then I also would like to use this to do more kind of maybe almost booktube content. I'd like to look into like films and TV shows and books and really see like what the authors did to create a really compelling story and what lessons I can learn from each of those. And I also like to do kind of challenges, like writing challenges, reading challenges. I've always found those really enjoyable to watch, and I think they'd be fun to do myself. Are you looking for any new channels to follow, betas, critique partners, or other types of writing buddies? If so, tell us who you're looking for and connect with them in the comments. Yes, I'm looking for all of the above. I'd really like to meet people who really love stories and love writing, who I can like talk about my story with and talk through my problems in my story with and like be able to bounce ideas. Once my writing grows a little bit more and I start having product that I'm comfortable giving to other people, which I think hopefully will be in the next few months, I would love to find kind of critique partners to help work through that, and then eventually find beta readers for my novel. So I'm interested in all of those. Please feel free to comment down below. Let me know who you are, what you're doing, if you have an AuthorTube channel, or if you love writing. If you have any tips on how to really get involved in the community, do let me know. I'm very much in the business for tips. The last question of this maybe long video: what are you most excited for during this new fresh start on AuthorTube? I think I'm most excited about all of the opportunities. The opportunities to meet people, the opportunities to become a part of a community, and the opportunity to really document myself and my growth, and hopefully, kind of spur that growth on. So if you made it all the way to the end of this video, thank you very much. If you'd like to stick around and see the content that I come out with next, you're welcome to subscribe, press the notification bell if you'd like to get notifications on this. And if you enjoyed this video, feel free to give me a thumbs up or not. If you are just here for this video and you don't want to stick around, that's totally okay. Thank you for spending this time with me, and enjoy the rest of your YouTube binge. At some point, I'm gonna have to figure out some sort of outro, but I don't have that figured out yet. So I appreciate you spending some time with me in your writing nook, and I wish you all the very best for the rest of your day. Thanks, bye. Okay, so weird. Hello, and welcome to my writing nook. Okay, I think that's enough.